I don't know. I think it's time for major changes, Brian. Mark signaled back in March that he, in some ways, realized that Facebook's time of growth was over, and he was going to focus on metaverse, and that's where all his excitement, all his energy is going into that. As you know, it's costing about $10 billion a year running rate. I think it's time for Mark to give up the CEO title. He can stay as chair of the board and focus on the metaverse and be the creative genius he is, and really bring in a CEO who can run what we used to know as Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and really run the social media. And I think it's time for a whole new business model that a new CEO could bring in. And I'd like to see
I know, Bill, we know that CEOs, you guys, make a lot of money, okay? And there's been a lot of criticism about the CEO pay. Mark obviously founded the company, so he's one of the richest people on the planet. His grandchildren's grandchildren will never have to work if they don't want to. Talk to us about being a CEO. I understand you make a lot of coin. No one's going to feel sorry for you. But it's a 24/7 job, right? I mean, it ultimately just beats you up. And Mark's getting older. You know, it's got to wear on him.
He's been CEO, Brian, for 19 years. That's a very long time. Okay, he's only 38 years old, but I think that's why I think it's time. He needs a partner. He had a partner in Sheryl Sandberg, and after the Cambridge Analytica scandal broke in 2018, he kind of pushed her aside. And so now with her retirement, he's all alone at the top. And by the way, his board's not like a real board. It's more of an advisory board. He needs a much stronger board. He needs to listen to some former CEOs can come on his board as well. So I think, it's a very tough job. And Mark said, I think on Joe Rogan's show, every morning I don't like to turn on my computer. It feels like getting punched in the gut. That's just not like a happy guy to me.
No.
And so he'd be a lot happier if he had a partner and who he really delegated authority to. I don't mean just somebody who has the title CEO. I mean a real CEO who's really strong-willed.
Yeah, and maybe move permanently to Hawaii. Get people off his back. He's getting hassled in San Francisco, whatever it may be. Bill George, appreciate you coming on. Thank you for the book, or congratulations on the book. And I'll say thanks. Maybe you can send me a copy. Bill George, thank you very much. All right.
Good. Thank you. I'll send you one.
Oh, very cool. Appreciate it, Bill. All right, now let's talk about the stock, Meta. It is down 61% off its 52-week high. It is trading below the pandemic low. It is one of the worst performers on the S&P 500 this year. So if you own it, what do you do? If you're poking around, what do you do? Let's bring in Jason Helfstein. He is Managing Director of Internet Research at Oppenheimer. He's got outperform a 190 price target. At some point, Jason, this stock is, again, we said it yesterday with a different company, it's got to stop going down. Doesn't mean it will go up. I mean, how long can this bleeding last? It does feel like a new Coke moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think you highlighted how much the stock is down. I mean, it's down well below kind of other large tech growth stocks because of the headwinds they face. So, and let's start out, right? Apple really did this company a significant disservice with the changes they made around privacy and the implications on ad targeting. Really, if I look at numbers, Meta underperformed its peers by 27 percentage points in revenue growth in the second quarter of 21. And it's still underperforming, but in the most recent quarter, underperformed by 8 percentage points. So it's getting less bad. At some point, the market will realize that. And I actually think, and we can talk about it if you want, there is kind of a product coming that Apple's relaunching that should allow Meta to get back some of the lost signal, which should help them recapture lost ad dollars.
Okay, let's talk about it. I want to know what that product is. And if our viewers are maybe a little confused about what you're talking about, if you download a new app, an app on your phone, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, and, it says you got that button which popped up about a year ago, ask app not to track. That's part of what you're talking about, correct? That little change
correct.
Was like a small spark that turned into a conflagration for Facebook.
Correct. And so Facebook has said effectively that change cost them about 10% of their revenue, right? So if you then kind of put a multiple on that and you're thinking about, well, the stock has underperformed its peers by like 30 points, you could kind of start to go there, right? And there are other factors, and we can talk about TikTok as well in a second. But the product that Apple is effectively updating is called SK Ad Network. It is code that publishers can use or apps can use to understand how effective app ads and download ads are. And so the new version called 4.0 and upgrade to 3.0 is going to add back a lot of the functionality that Apple took away. Why is Apple doing this? There's a number of opinions out there. Some people think Apple went too far in restricting privacy and was acting monopolistic, and it could have triggered government kind of action or oversight. Or maybe the fact that Apple realizes they want to build an ad business and they can't have tons of data on the consumer and everybody else has none, right? Because that wouldn't be fair. So Apple announced this at their developer day. There's been a lot discussed about this, written about it, but we don't know when it's relaunching. But once it does, we think Meta will be the biggest beneficiary. And when I add that to all of the other headwinds, which I'm happy to talk about, should really position them in a better place for next year.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.